Ladies and gentlemen, in the journey of faith, many ask, what is the deed that brings me closest to Allah's mercy? What action invites Allah Himself to bless me? In the teachings of the Ahl-al-Bayt, as we are told that there is an act so beloved to Allah, that when a believer does it purely for His sake, Allah sends His blessings, His mercy, and His peace upon that servant. When a believer stands beside another soul in sincerity, something far greater than a simple act of kindness takes place. In the unseen realm, doors of mercy begin to open. When a heart decides to serve without pride, without show, without expecting applause, Allah elevates that servant to heights no throne in this world could ever provide. The teachings of the Ahl-al-Bayt as remind us that helping someone is not a favor we do for others. It is a favor Allah grants us so we may earn His nearness. Think for a moment. When you come across someone struggling, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and you pause your own life to support them, that moment is witnessed by the Lord of all universes. We often underestimate what it means to be seen by Allah. In this world, people work tirelessly simply to be recognized by society, to be noticed by leaders, to be praised by the wealthy or the powerful. Yet, a believer's true honor is not in human praise. It is in divine recognition. When you help someone purely for Allah, He sees you, remembers you, and raises your rank in ways no human can measure. The Ahl-al-Bayt as taught us that sincerity is the soul of every action. You may feed thousands, but if your intention is to be admired, then your reward ends with applause. But if you whisper to your heart, I am doing this for you, Ya Allah, because you love those who show mercy, then even if the world never knows, the heavens will testify. There are angels assigned to record your humility, angels who write down your tears when you feel someone's pain, angels who carry your silent prayer to the throne when you help someone overcome sorrow. Supporting others is not only giving money. Sometimes the greatest help is a listening ear when someone feels abandoned. Sometimes it is defending someone's honor when others attack their dignity. Sometimes it is guiding someone gently toward the truth when their heart is lost. Sometimes it is simply holding patience with someone who is breaking inside. The Ahl-al-Bayt as showed us that to support others is to reflect the mercy of Allah in our character. Look at the life of Imam Ali as he did not help only those who praised him. He supported those who cursed him, those who misunderstood him. Why? Because his service was not for them. It was for Allah. Look at Lady Fatima, who gave away her food while fasting, not because she had abundance, but because she held certainty that Allah sees every act of sacrifice. Look at Imam Hussain who forgave and helped even those who betrayed him, because he understood that generosity purifies the soul. Look at Imam Hussain who stood not only to save Islam but to remind humanity what it means to honor the oppressed. Look at Imam Zain-ul-Abidin who walked in the nights bearing food on his back so no hungry stomach would sleep with pain, and he told no one. True service does not seek acknowledgement. It seeks Allah's pleasure. When you ease someone's burden, Allah eases burdens from your life that you do not even know exist. When you bring comfort to one heart, Allah brings tranquility to yours in moments no one else can help. There are battles inside you that only Allah will fight for you, and He fights for those who fight for His servants. There are blessings written for you simply because you smiled at someone who was hurting, or you gave hope to someone who thought hope was gone. Remember, wealth ends, fame fades, strength weakens, but the elevation Allah grants to those who serve with sincerity never dies. The world may forget you, but the Lord who created your soul will never forget what you did for the sake of His love. And when Allah honors someone, no creation can lower them. When Allah raises someone, no world can suppress them. That is the beauty of sincere service. You may appear small in the eyes of men, yet you become immense in the sight of Allah. So every time you see someone in need, do not ask, what will I gain? Ask, what opportunity has Allah gifted me to rise closer to Him? Because the believer who supports others is not lowering themselves, they are rising. And with every step they take toward easing someone's pain, Allah takes them one step higher in His mercy, His protection, and His eternal reward. The Ahl-al-Bayt taught us that the path to Allah is not built through arrogance, self-centered ambition, or seeking status, but through humility in serving humanity. They showed us that greatness is not standing above people, but standing with them, helping them, being their support when the world abandons them. The world often deceives us into believing that honor is in being served, that dignity is in being recognized, and that superiority lies in having others look up to us. But the teachings of the Ahl-al-Bayt overturn this illusion. They teach us that the true servant of Allah is the one who serves the creation of Allah. They remind us that the throne Allah gives is not built with pride, but with compassion and humility. Reflect on how many people chase power, wealth, and reputation, thinking these things will bring security and respect. Yet how many wealthy people live in anxiety? How many powerful figures feel empty? Because power without purpose is just a burden, wealth without generosity becomes a chain, and honor without humility becomes poison. The Ahl-al-Bayt taught that the heart finds true peace only when it lifts another heart. Allah created us with fitra, a natural inclination toward goodness. When we help someone sincerely, we feel inner light. When we turn away from someone in need, we feel darkness within. That is the soul responding to truth. Look at the character of our Imams. They were leaders, yet they never sought followers through force or fear. They earned hearts through kindness, fairness, and justice. Imam Ali, would sit with the poor, eat with orphans, walk with widows, speak gently even to those who disagreed with him. He ruled an entire nation, yet his humility made the weak feel safe around him. Imam Hussain, walked in compassion so deeply that even his final moments in Karbala were filled with concern for humanity. His mission was service, his path was kindness, and his legacy was sacrifice. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, despite the weight of grief and chains after Karbala, continued to serve quietly, feeding the hungry in the nights, guiding broken hearts, never seeking public praise. Every step, every word, every act was proof that closeness to Allah is found in service. The Ahl-al-Bayt, did not simply teach compassion, they lived it, breathed it, embodied it. Their lives tell us that worship is not only in prayer mats and fasting. True worship shines when you wipe someone's tears, when you protect someone's dignity, when you hold someone's pain as if it is your own. A person who prays all night but wounds hearts during the day has not understood the message. But a believer who lifts people up, protects their honor, and spreads kindness, walks the path of the prophets. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of others with love. It is realizing that every blessing you have, wealth, health, time, knowledge, is not just for you. It is a trust from Allah. He observes how you use it. Will you hoard blessings or share them? Will you stand proudly alone or lift someone to stand beside you? The Ahl-al-Bayt, remind us that the highest honor is reserved for those who carry the burdens of others, because they walk in the footsteps of the most merciful souls. When you lower your ego to raise someone else, Allah raises you. When you choose patience over pride, Allah blesses you. When you forgive even when you have the power to punish, Allah defends you. When you give while you yourself struggle, Allah opens gates you never knew existed. The Ahl-al-Bayt, did not just instruct us to serve. They showed us that serving others purifies the heart, polishes the soul, and brings divine closeness that cannot be bought or inherited. True leadership in Islam is not about authority, it is about responsibility. True spirituality is not escaping from people, it is caring for people. True devotion is not words on lips, it is mercy in action. To walk with the Ahl-al-Bayt, means to soften your heart, broaden your compassion, and see every soul as deserving of dignity and love. And whoever walks this path finds Allah walking with them, blessing them, guiding them, and raising them in rank both in this world and the next. Compassion, patience, and helping the oppressed are not just moral choices. They are acts that bring a believer directly under the shade of Allah's special mercy. The teachings of the Ahl-al-Bayt constantly remind us that every time you soften your heart for someone, every time you stand with the wronged, every time you hold your anger and choose gentleness instead, you are moving closer to Allah. It is not only your prayer mat that brings you divine closeness, your character does. And in the eyes of heaven, the greatest character is one that reflects mercy, justice, and patience. There are people who think religion is only rituals, forgetting that rituals are meant to shape hearts into sources of light for others. The Ahl-al-Bayt lived in a world full of injustice, cruelty, betrayal, and oppression. Yet they responded with dignity, strength, and mercy. They did not teach us softness because they were weak. They taught it because softness is the weapon of the strong. Compassion is not foolishness. It is wisdom. Patience is not defeat. It is mastery. Standing with the oppressed is not merely charity. It is walking in alignment with divine justice. When you stand with someone weak, you stand with Allah. When you lift someone crushed by society, you become a soldier of the truth without drawing a sword. Think about how many times we turn away from someone because we are tired, or busy, or simply uninterested. Yet the Ahl-al-Bayt would stop to listen even to those who insulted them because they understood one reality. People who hurt others are often the ones hurting the most inside. If a heart is boiling in pain, anger, or trauma, what heals it is not harshness, it is gentle guidance. When you meet cruelty with mercy, you reflect the light of the Prophet's household. When you respond to bitterness with patience, you echo the endurance of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, who after surviving Karbala bore unimaginable grief and still chose to heal others in prayer and compassion. Remember the words and actions of those noble souls. They cried for the oppressed not because they were emotional, but because their hearts were alive. They fed the hungry not because they needed thanks, but because they carried the responsibility of justice. They forgave not because they couldn't punish, but because they valued mercy more than revenge. They showed patience not because they accepted injustice, but because they trusted Allah's timing above their own. When you hold yourself back from reacting in anger, your soul rises. When you choose mercy over ego, your rank increases in the unseen world. When you comfort someone in their pain, Allah sends angels to comfort you in yours. There are moments in life when someone will wrong you, cheat you, or speak against you. The easy response is anger. But the path of the Ahl-al-Bayt is deeper than emotion. It is rooted in divine wisdom. They taught us that patience is not weakness. It is control over the self. They taught us that compassion is not naivety. It is spiritual intelligence. They taught us that when you choose goodness despite being hurt, you invite Allah into your struggle. And when Allah enters your struggle, victory, whether in this world or the next, becomes guaranteed. Helping the oppressed is not only about grand acts. Sometimes it means speaking up when someone is bullied. Sometimes it means refusing to laugh when others mock someone. Sometimes it means giving a little food, a few words of encouragement, or showing kindness to someone society ignores. Even standing beside someone when they feel the world has left them, that is support in the eyes of Allah. Every small act of help becomes a shield for you on the day when no shield will benefit except His mercy. There are unseen rewards waiting for those who help others genuinely. When you lift one heart, Allah lifts your heart 10 times over. When you support someone silently, Allah supports you in ways you do not see. When you become the reason someone breathes easier, Allah becomes the reason your soul finds peace. In every tear you wipe, every pain you ease, every injustice you challenge, you are writing your name among those whom Allah looks at with love. And when Allah prays for you, meaning when He sends His mercy, His angels, His protection over you, no hardship can break you, and no darkness can overwhelm you. That is the honor granted to those who live with compassion, patience, and courage for the oppressed. True honor in the path of the Ahl-al-Bayt has nothing to do with status, titles, or how loudly the world praises your name. Real dignity lies not in having people serve you, but in serving others yourself. The world tries to convince us that power comes from being above others, commanding attention, demanding respect. Yet the Ahl-al-Bayt demonstrated the opposite. The greatest souls walk with humility, and the most honored hearts are those that lift others before themselves. You do not rise by stepping on people, you rise by raising them. In a time where many rush toward positions and visibility, true believers rush toward sincerity and responsibility. Society may glorify those who sit on thrones, but Allah glorifies those who kneel to help someone rise. There are individuals who spend their life chasing praise, applause, and recognition, only to realize that people's memories are short and worldly admiration fades fast. But when you do something purely for Allah, whether anyone sees it or not. That act becomes eternal. The unseen records of your compassion outlast any fame you could ever chase. The Ahl-al-Bayt, did not command hearts by force, but by love. They did not sit waiting to be honored. They walked among the poor, the lonely, the forgotten, and the broken. They showed us that leadership is not sitting above people, but walking among them. Imam Ali would visit the oppressed in the darkness of night, so his help would be known only to Allah. Imam Hussain would forgive those who harmed him because he valued peace more than pride. Imam Hussain gave his blood not for authority, but for truth and dignity for all humanity. Lady Zainab stood in the court of tyrants not to elevate herself, but to protect the message and lift hearts drowning in despair. Their greatness came not from being served, but from serving. When a person insists on being honored, they lose honor in the sight of heaven. But when someone humbles themselves and helps others quietly, Allah clothes them in a dignity no worldly crown can match. Some people will do a small act of charity and then speak of it as if they built the world. Yet the sincere believer does good and forget it, because they are not counting their deeds. They are giving them to Allah. The real king in Allah's sight is not the one who commands armies, but the one who conquers his ego. The real queen is not the one praised publicly, but the one who nurtures goodness in hearts without expecting applause. Think of a person who has wealth. If they hoard it, it becomes a burden. But if they share it, it becomes light on their shoulders and nur in their grave. Think of knowledge. If one uses it to belittle others, it destroys the soul. But if they use it to guide, teach, and uplift, it becomes a ladder to paradise. Think of strength. If it is used to overpower the weak, it turns into tyranny. But if used to protect, defend, and uplift, it becomes a form of worship. In every blessing you have, there is a test. And the greatest test is whether that blessing becomes a means for your ego or a bridge to Allah. The Ahl-al-Bayt showed us that true honor is spiritual, not material. It is not measured in followers, titles, or possessions. It is measured in the hearts you heal, the dignity you protect, and the lives you bless. One quiet act of kindness weighs heavier in the scale of Allah than 1,000 public displays of boasting. When you help someone stand, angels record your name with honor. When you lift someone's burden, Allah lifts burdens from your life. When you hide someone's flaws and protect their dignity, Allah hides your flaws and protects your respect in front of creation. Many seek to be remembered by people. The wise seek to be remembered by Allah. If you live to impress others, you will always feel empty, because the hearts of people are inconsistent. But if you live to please Allah, you will always feel fulfilled, because His love never fades. So do not seek to be above others. Seek to be beside them. Do not chase being served. Chase the honor of serving. Be the one who lifts, not the one who demands to be lifted. And know that every time you choose humility over pride, sincerity over show, and service over status, Allah writes your name among the truly honored, the ones whose worth shines not only on earth, but eternally in the heavens.